Hello, I'm back with one more video showing how to replicate this template using the Agent Integration Kit, also known as NeoStack AI. First, let's change the editor settings to use logins so clients don't join at the same time as the host. This will help identify replication issues, since this template wasn't designed for replication. Credentials don't matter for emulation. Any information can be used here. Now launching the game in Pi mode with enabled Listen Network mode. The second client will join slightly later than the simulated session host. First of all, I'm doing this to show that Neo can make the game replicate and to demonstrate Neo's capabilities, since some who haven't used it think it can't do that. I'll do it in a relaxed way with minimal prompting. I'll just type naturally and see it work while I chill and drink tea late in the evening. While playtesting this template in Listen mode, I already noticed several issues, though technically they aren't bugs, since this template was built for single player. Now I need to prompt the AI to make it replicate, or in simpler terms, make it work in multiplayer. I'll use Claude Code for this, since I have the most unused usage limits there, and I'll open a fresh chat window. I won't do in-depth planning. Ideally, other users lay out a plan, and Claude Code's planning mode would help the AI think through what should be done. That would be a better approach, but I'll just go from issue to issue until it's done. I'm not planning to optimize usage or time spent on this, and I'm not going to overthink the planning for this task at hand. I'll be vibe coding. I guess that's why it's called that. I started with what I thought was simple prompt, but since I set Claude's thinking mode to medium, it considered the task more thoroughly. I'll speed up the thinking process, so this won't become a 2-hour video. I've spent that much time prompting this, and you won't see the full thought process. However, we'll highlight the important Claude thinking moments, since there will be a few surprises. I prompted that we should make this template replicate. The first issue I noticed is that the client isn't shooting on the server, and I also want the first-person mesh, which is visible to clients, to be hidden. It might not always be best to combine two different fixes into one, but I did it that way. Claude took its time to start working. I even thought it had hung, but it was just preparing which tools to use and how to handle the prompt. Then it began analyzing the project and doing what I asked it to do. If you're new to Unreal, you can definitely learn a lot using this tool by reading its thought process or simply asking it what things mean in Unreal or in your project. I know several users who use it as a learning tool. And if you're an advanced Unreal Engine developer, you can monitor its thinking process and steer it in the right direction if it starts going the wrong way. I'm a self-taught Unreal developer and relatively new to the AI scene, so my approach may not reflect a veteran's in either field. This walkthrough will show the tool's usage from a general user's perspective. I'll still make this template replicate without touching the blueprint code, just pure vibe coding. Time to continue testing the template to make it work as a multiplayer game, with development handled using NeoStack. Currently, it seems the client can't shoot, or their shots aren't visible to themselves, but the shots are happening on the server, the host client. We still see the first-person mesh on both sides. We also had some errors after I ended the session. This is actually my personal favorite use case for the tool, telling it to fix those errors. I like designing blueprint systems myself, but I hate debugging, so it's a blessing that Neo can do it for me. I'm just picking those errors that don't seem to be repeating to pays for the agent to fix. I'm not cutting footage out. Everything is just sped up. If you're interested in reading it, you can pause the video and read Claude's thinking process. Now let's see whether those errors still appear or if we're good. The same replication issues remain, but I didn't prompt for that. I only mentioned the errors that were closing the editor. And now that the editor is closed, we get no errors, so the AI fixed it. Now I will prompt it only to fix the first-person mesh visibility issue, so it isn't combined with other tasks. I didn't read the AI's prior reasoning and where it missed my first prompting to fix it. The AI completed its task and explained what it did. Let's see if the first-person mesh is no longer visible. It also appears to have handled some weapon visibility issues in the template. We no longer have that weird-looking first-person mesh that was made visible only to the client view to preserve the first-person feel. Now we can continue making the AI handle replication. Next up, we need to fix the issue where bullets are not being fired on the client. Maybe if I had used the word replicate, Claude would have fixed it in this prompt. Using technical terms still helps the AI complete tasks. This is called steering it in the right direction. Let's see if it works. As I recall from recording, it fixed the original issue of not shooting on the server on first try. The remaining problem was bullet replication, which I steered it toward in the next prompt. I'm keeping this in the video because the intent was to show the full vibe coding flow. Sometimes the AI doesn't complete a task in one shot, and you need to steer it, or a different model will do better. I've had times when Claude kept missing an issue, so I transferred the chat to Codex, and Codex fixed it with one prompt, and vice versa. NeoStack power users use both models to get the best results, whether by prompting or pre-planning. Again, just to remind you, it was evening, and I sat down intending to just prompt and playtest with no in-depth planning. Task completed faster as the AI agent learned more about the project. And here we have it. With a little steering, the client is now shooting bullets. Now it's time to find other things that aren't replicating, like bots not dying and the UI bullet count not updating for the client. And client can't reload weapon. Yes, I forgot that the health UI isn't updating for the client either. This is why, at least in Unreal Engine, and probably other engines too, making a single-player game is easy, but making it multiplayer is 10 times harder. I think Neo will help make it easier. Reworking this template for replication by hand would have taken me a full day, but the AI did it in minutes while I just sipped my tea. The bullet count is now replicating for the client. Next, I'll just playtest to catch other issues. The most noticeable problem is the client not being able to kill bots because bullet damage isn't registering. We also have a bot that spawned on the client and isn't moving. Let's start fixing these issues one by one. First, we'll fix bots not taking damage and dying from client-fired bullets, and fix reloading on client side. The agent opened the bot blueprint, so I took a peek at what it was doing. You can technically work on other parts of the template while the agent handles other tasks. But I just let it cook. The bots can now be killed by the client. I didn't notice at first that the client is now double shooting, but I'll address that later in the session. And reloading now also works on the client side. Now I want to fix the bot spawners that spawn bots which stand in place on the client side. Testing time. Great. No more spawn bots that just stand on the spawn point. The client is clearly getting hit, and the UI, which we fixed earlier, is updating correctly, though I hadn't confirmed it before. Next, I want score tracking to work for both clients. Right now, it only updates on the host, the server. This time I'll be more technical and ask for the score to be stored in the game state, since that class is used to hold game-wide values, so every client knows the game state. I guess that's why it's named game state. Because this is a fresh task that requires the AI to think through and inspect the project, it will take more time than modifying code it already knows. And I got my first crash with Neo. I thought it might be compilation errors causing the crash, so I told Neo to look into it and fix the uncompiled UI widget. Previous chat history still remains because the plugin doesn't store it. Claude Code does, so it won't be lost after an editor restart or crash. It crashed again. This time we'll make AI to diagnose it because it wasn't just a compilation error. This is actually my favorite Neo capability. Normally, I'd have to Google the errors, hope a forum's user has the same issue, or ask a chat model. But here I can paste the error into the engine chat, and the AI will not only explain the cause, but also fix it. So here we have the AI's assessment and fix. No longer crashing during play. But I messed up. I didn't read it properly and missed that it's self-fixed after the editor restarted. So we still get a crash at first, but the next time I tell the AI to fix it, it also runs garbage collection without me prompting, which prevents the editor from crashing afterward. This is where I notice the weapon fires 2 bullets. You can clearly see it with the pistol, which has a slower fire rate. And that makes them collide, so they don't reach the bots I'm targeting. But I don't think I noticed it yet, since I was focused on the score not being displayed correctly for the host and client. And again, same crash. This time I just posted the crash logs. The AI didn't just recognize it as the same issue we had before. It began running garbage collection after each completed task to prevent the crash from happening again, without me asking. I later planned to check the agent's output and tell it to make sure the crash wouldn't recur, but I noticed later the agent had already done that. It really feels like having a co-developer working with you on the project. I playtested some more to find any other things that still aren't replicating. Client death isn't properly replicated. Again, the project wasn't built for replication, so we need to tell the AI to make it replicate. Now, client dies properly. After respawn, the animation wasn't set to the equipped weapon. My struggle to die to bots, then they all focus on host client. And the client is back holding the rifle instead of running around with the unequipped animation. It took me a long time to notice the double bullets being fired. That's tunnel vision for you. I was focused on other things. But first, let's fix the errors that are popping up. Some more playtesting. I finally noticed the issue with 2 bullets being fired on the client. I guess this is the last time I record a session late in the evening. That was fixed. No more duplicate bullet firing events on the client. I can start the outro now, since it's getting late, and other things have come up. I still wanted to bring the template to a fully replicated state. There may be 2 more prompts left to do that, but I've already shown a substantial amount of AI-assisted work. The template is mostly replicated now. The only remaining task is making weapon switching replicate. Claude didn't one-shot it, so I left it here. To summarize, I casually playtest the game, tell the agent what needs to be done, and the agent makes the changes while I continue playtesting, without directly touching the blueprint code. Planning would yield better, more structured results, and let you control the code layout. But that wasn't the point of this video. This was pure vibe coding to demonstrate that you can get the template working with the AI's help. I think I'm done with this template. I'll wait for the upcoming full version 1 release for the next video to show more Neo capabilities, or try other marketplace templates to add or modify features of it. For this last task, the AI almost finishes it. Weapon switching works mostly as needed, but the mesh of the weapon that was switched away remains visible. 1 more prompt would likely bring it to a fully replicated state, but I had to run. Thank you all for your support and for using our tool. With the full version 1 release, we expect it to perform even better. Take care. See you in the next one.